Hey everyone. Thank you for patiently waiting for us. It's the host with the most. It's your girl Keeks. I'm here joined by my beloved friends, G and Oliver, stepping in for our co-hosts, Brandon and Lena. But most importantly, they will be here for this season's coverage of the Traitors season 3. And before we go any further, please make sure to hit that like button, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to follow us at Reality Unloaded Podcast on Instagram and Reality Unloaded Podcast on TikTok, because we back on TikTok. Okay, we are on the clock app. But so excited to cover this whole season with y'all. Well, the first 4 episodes. And yes, I just want to introduce y'all to my amazing co-hosts for the night, G and Oliver. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Hi. So happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yes.
It's so good to be here.
Hey, okay.
You know, we have to beat the catfish allegations.
Well, I do want to just intro. These are my friends from Twitter. I'm never going to call it by that other name. And we hold it down in the Twitter spaces, etc. G, she be holding it down with the spaces. Oliver be holding it down with the spaces. We cover a whole bunch of reality, TV, anything, and in between. Love Island, Love is Blind, what else? Squid Games,
The Mole, all
The
that
Mole,
stuff.
Ultimatum, Big Brother, Survivor,
The Circle,
you know.
all of it.
So, oh look, Sophie, I see you. Your Twitter, you guys are funny. Okay. Yes, and hey, Cynthia. Yes, we know we were late. Thank you so much. But I appreciate that for your support. Okay, bust down G. Yes, exactly. Come on, middle part. Yes, middle part gang. Okay. And then yes, Sophie, thank you so much. And yes, Lena and Brandon, they will be back. They're just not in tonight. They will help me cover the challenge on Friday, not on Friday, on Thursday, I'm sorry. So you'll see us covering All Stars 5, the cast, as well as the reunion of the Challenge 40. But they'll be here, so they're not gone. I needed somebody to step in for the Traitors. Come on now. Couldn't do this by myself. Couldn't yap alone. I'm a certified yapper with my certified yapper friends. That's how we do this. But yes, Bloody Money, hey, what's up? Hey, Keys, how are you? Traitors US are cooking right now, by the way. Do we watch Traitors UK? So, do you guys watch Traitors UK? Because I don't. I haven't watched this season, at least.
I have not watched this season, but I have watched the previous seasons. And
yes.
Yeah, sorry.
I will soon be tuning into the UK as soon as I get this VPN. So stay tuned.
Sophie, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. But I guess so.
Not
but anyway,
you talk too much.
Right? Like, damn. Okay, I'm gonna journal about that later. Yeah. So before we go any further, if you have not watched Traitors episodes 1 through 4, exit the chat right now. Peace out. Yeah, leave Cynthia before we support it. But thank you so much for your support. We appreciate you. We love you so much. Thank you so much. But yes, let's get right into it because we have a lot to discuss, don't we? So, we start off the season. The cast is arriving to the castle. We hear Brittany talking about how she did Danielle dirty at BB Reindeer Games. And I honestly forgot about that. And I said, oh, actually, she did do that. So I was kind of glad that they prefaced that. You didn't watch, G. That was like the only... I actually ended up watching the whole thing, actually. I think. Yeah.
Well, we can't anymore.
Well...
because they took it down for whatever reason.
Yeah, they took it down. They took out a lot of stuff off of Paramount Plus. I don't know what the hell is going on, but maybe they're gonna move to a different network. Maybe they're gonna move to Peacock. I don't know. Hopefully, because Peacock is much less filtered than I feel like Peacock, Paramount, and MTV and all that stuff, Viacom. Tony, so Oliver, you are the Survivor connoisseur here. Have you ever seen Tony play? Because he's over here coming into it saying that like he was chilling, he was just like in the jungle, like he didn't really speak highly of his Survivor gameplay. Obviously, smartly, he shouldn't have. But yeah.
So I have not seen his seasons, but I do know of him. And yeah, he's downplaying himself a lot. Saying that he only eats bugs. Girl, please. Like, especially, you could see it too, not to jump ahead, but when he got out of them SUVs and then he saw him and Carolyn, it was like, oh, it was like, okay, well, can't really do that.
Right. Can't really downplay it. G, have you watched Survivor at all?
I have, and I honestly don't remember his season, but I do know that he won twice. So come on now, you can't come on here trying to lie. Like, and you got other fellow survivors with you. So
yeah,
good luck.
I didn't understand why he was downplaying that so early. I was just like, you don't even know who's on cast, but whatever. And you're a detective. Like, why are you? Whatever. Anyway. So then the Traitors arrive at the castle, and Alan has this grand introduction with like a whole bunch of masked people. And I said, oh, the budget? The budget is budgeting this year for Traitors. You know, they won those Emmys. They took all the money that RuPaul was getting, pretty much, because that's pretty much what happened. They took the wins from Ru. And they upped the budget on him. He had a whole bunch of minions standing. Like, this looks good. Then Alan comes through on a horse, you know, looking fashionable as ever, and pretty much tells his minions, his masked people, to go on their merry way, except one of them. And then he tells the game players off rip, there's a twist. So this person can come into the game, this one individual that is in a hooded cloak, can come into the game if one of you shakes my hand. But if you shake my hand and that person comes in the game, you guys will have to banish someone else from the group. And then the minion uncovers themselves like the Masked Singer, pretty much. That's how it felt. And and it comes out to be Boston Rob. How did y'all feel about this moment seeing Boston Rob?
Real quick though, do y'all kind of wish that they didn't show who the person was versus them revealing who Rob was and then asking people to decide? Like, I think they would have gotten more drama, more chaos if they would have just kept him like masked. You know what I mean? And then, you know, just decided, hey, are we going to let this random person come on in? Or, you know, are we going to just keep it how, you know, they ended up doing, honestly? But I felt like they lost a little bit of the production value in that, because honestly, if it was Rob and I'm sitting there, I wouldn't have shook the hand either. Your ass is not coming in this game. I'm sorry. Like, you had a better chance to stay in that.
I completely agree, because if it was me before he unveiled himself, I would have stepped up and shook his hand. But as soon as I saw it was Rob's Boston ass, I would have said, I was like, I just was sat there like, I would have told Alan, you have a great outfit. And that's it. I would have sat myself just perched, set still.
But
I'm not familiar. Sorry, go ahead, G.
No, go ahead.
I'm not familiar with Rob, but I do know that he's like obviously a reoccurring Survivor legend or whatever, has played the game multiple times. Someone said it best. They were like, Boston Rob is what CT is to the challenge. And I said, oh, that makes sense. But then I also seen that he just came off of Deal No Deal Island and all this other stuff. So I was like, what the hell is he doing here? And yeah, I would have said no just off of the reputation that I've heard Boston Rob has. I would have said no, but Carolyn was the main one that seemed like she was considering shaking Alan's hand.
I agree. I truly felt as if though, like, if you were gonna bring a masked person in, I just feel like the formatting should have been better, because if I would have shook that person's hand, then I could have been the one being banished. So it's like, if we're doing it in front of everybody and I go shake that hand because it's like, okay, F y'all, they all gonna be like, oh, you said F me, like, you gotta go. You know what I mean? So it's like they could have did better with this twist and the formatting of it. Like, you know, if you just wanted more chaos and more drama, you know, just let people not know what's coming in, and then kind of do it anonymously as well, because the person is masked. You know what I mean? So like, let's just have that little, you know, bit of mystery to it.
Yeah.
I will say, because I've seen Boston Rob's first season. The thing with Boston Rob is very charming and cunning. And I feel that if I was in Caroline's position, I absolutely would have, because I feel like Boston Rob is a really great ally to have. He's someone great to have in that back pocket, because he kind of will keep his allies close and safe together, but also will be throwing people under the bus, as we see in the future. I also, but outside of Carolyn's position, baby, no. Catch a flight. I don't know.
Even if I was Carolyn, girl, what were you thinking? Like, why would you even consider that, knowing that, you know, if you're the person who allows this big of a player to come into the game, girl, why wouldn't you be a traitor? Like, already, why wouldn't he pick you? Because he knows that, you know, you're already capable of working with multiple people. You're already thinking far ahead in the game. You're planning strategically based off of your previous knowledge of the person. So it's just like, girl, calm down. I feel like all these people need to calm down. But okay,
yeah, I felt like it was too early to make that move. Go ahead, Oliver.
And that was actually a question that I think, would have rather seen this like twist in question after they picked the traitors? I also feel like that too would have amped it up a bit, because then it's like, okay, are you stepping forward because you're a traitor, or what's because then that would really amp up the distrust, and I feel like that could have happened as well.
Yes, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Bloody Muddy said, I would shake Rob's hand and send Tom Sandoval home. I mean, yeah, I think Tom, but Tom is easy to carry because Tom is clueless. So he's
him
easy
and
to carry
his pit stains.
Yes. But yes, let's move forward. So traitors are now going to be chosen. They get sent to go inside the castle rather. And we see obviously them having conversations with Alan while they're at the round table waiting to get chosen. And Danielle gets picked first. And she's like, oh, she can't wait to be bad, you know. Carolyn gets chosen second. And we do see a clip of her pretty much begging Alan to like choose her to be a traitor. And I said, girl, don't you really getting on your knees? Like he don't fuck with you.
But why? How come he's telling somebody not to beg and then letting Caroline beg? So
she decided to beg. She decided
to beg. Away. But so wasn't Nikki or whatever trying to beg, and he was like, "Don't beg. I don't like that shit."
Well, I think was it Nikki? I remember Nikki pretty much saying like, "Oh yeah, okay, it was her." And then Bob gets chosen last, right? And out of these people, like, were y'all happy with who the traitors were? Is there anybody that you wanted to be a traitor or thought was gonna get chosen?
I will say two of the three of the traitors were the people that I was most excited at the cast, being Danielle and Bob. Listen, Issa Rae, I bet on everybody black, period, point blank.
Right.
And so like, and I knew the two of them would give like good TV. The other third person who I wanted to be a traitor is Nikki. Listen, I'm a wrestling girl. Too. I'm diva down, diva era down, stand. So like she would have been the other one, but I can't be too mad at it. I know Carolyn, she do have her fans. And so I was like, let's see what it gives.
Right. I mean, similar to Bob, because I watched Bob's recap. If y'all haven't watched Bob, the drag queens recap, y'all should really go and check his channel out. He's hilarious. But Bob even mentions like he didn't know anybody. So he didn't have any backstory. He didn't know who was a villain in their show or whatever. He was really clueless because he doesn't watch majority of these shows. And even like Dylan, he didn't know who Dylan was. He thought Dylan, he was like, was Dylan on a show? I don't know. He didn't know that Sam was Brittany's ex. He had no idea who these people were. So I felt like I would have been a little bit more similar in terms of like the Survivor people. I wouldn't have known. And some of the housewives ladies, I don't really know that well. Like I didn't know Dorinda, which we'll speak about a little bit later. But
listen, I'll say this now. The only Dorinda I know is from the Cheetah Girls. Thank you.
That part. Okay, it's over. Never thought it would be. All right.
I am happy with Danielle being the traitor. I'm very happy with that. I wanted her to like not be held to this thing of like trying to be loyal to everybody and playing this like most perfect game. So I was happy that she was chosen and that she could play the game how she wanted to play it, which is bad, and blah, blah, blah. We'll talk more on that later. But like, just I was happy for her.
Yeah.
Bob, I was like, yes, this is going to be a show. It's going to be entertaining and all that stuff. I'm like, he's going to be that strategic player that's like cutthroat shit that I need because hello, it's traitors. Like, get these motherfuckers out of here. But then we go to Carolyn, I don't know, and I didn't watch, I don't really know much about her or anything like that, but I could have did without, I guess. Could have did without.
I don't blame you on that. I don't blame you with that. I was happy for Danielle and obviously for Bob because like, hello, we need a drag queen to shake it up, especially with how they did Pep last season. Also, there's a lot more queer people on this season. Bob actually pointed it out on their recap that it's like 6 of them. Like Carolyn is apparently queer. Obviously, Bob. Bob 8.
The other Bob.
Yeah, Gabby. Chriselle. So in comparison to last season where Pep was like the only out gay person or queer person there, it's a lot different. I do want to point something out too. I had read this on an article and I'm sorry I can't source the article right now, but they said that it's interesting because last season for the traitors that were chosen, it was one Big Brother person, one Survivor person, and then another big personality star, which was Portia. Not Portia.
Crazy.
Oh my God. Is it Portia?
Last season? Phaedra.
Why did I say Portia?
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I would like to see Portia on the show. Portia would be fun.
X-nay on that. It was definitely Phaedra. Hey Lauren. Okay, I didn't know y'all was doing Traitors. We are, sis. We are. So welcome to the show. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting, and I said, oh, okay, so I guess they do have a formula going of how they're going to choose the traitors: 2 gamers and 1 big reality TV star. Or
that's a good catch, though. That's a good catch because I didn't think about it like that at all, honestly. Like I said, when I'm done with a show, I'm done. So it's like new season. Yeah. Like, okay, what's the tea? What's going on? We got 2 black people and a woman, good shit. We about to be running this, and y'all, when we get to this stuff.
Right. So let's continue on. So Tom is grilling everybody at the table after Alan chooses everyone. He is eyeing everyone down, and I'm over here like, dang, Tom, like, are you good? Like, are you having a stroke? Why are you staring so hard? Even Bob makes a comment about it, like, I don't like this man staring at me. I might banish his ass first. And I don't blame him. Then Alan explains a game changer, right? He says whoever arrives at the finale will no longer be announcing if they were a traitor or a faithful, and the players will be relying on instincts. So pretty much after the last round table and fire pit, there's no more roles revealed, which I heard differently at first. I thought he was saying that after each banishment, they were not going to be revealing themselves, which I would have preferred, because I feel like they really are playing the game blindly, How did y'all feel about that game changer moment?
Well, it doesn't make sense to me. So then with the way that they're formatting it, so I'm guessing they're going to do the reveal clearly what at the reunion. So then will people just not know if they want until the reunion? That to
Right.
me kind of cheapens it. And I agree that would have been a better switch for them just to not say anything if they get banished. That would have been a lot better because then it would have been complete in the dark. And I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that. So I don't really understand the reason, because it's like you're already at the end. Who else is good? Like there's nothing else to do. Like why are we just gonna keep it and edge it until the reunion? I don't. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's just an easier way for the traders to win and end up taking the money home. Like if it's not revealing them at the end, like at the last round table, if they're not being revealed, then I feel like a trader is more than likely going to take all the money. Like,
Right.
so I thought the same thing like you, Keeks. Like I literally was like, if you're gonna be telling people, like you don't want to tell people after every banishment, I'm like, I mean, that could be a really good change. That's different, but listen, you try to help these people, you try not to help these people, they still do dumb shit. So it's like it wasn't gonna
Yeah.
benefit them anyways. Like I feel like they, even when they were previously doing the other seasons where they're telling people, yeah, we're banished every week and I'm a traitor this and I'm a faithful, they still couldn't even figure out who the remaining other traitors were. You know what I mean? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I'd rather them tell them that, hey, I'm a faithful or I'm a traitor. So at least you feel good about like a lot of the bad that you're going to be doing. You know what I mean? So that's my
Yeah.
take on it.
I listen, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. So we see obviously Tom talking his ish, trying to pin Chriselle as a traitor. He even tells Danielle and Carolyn this. And then Dylan tells Chriselle that Tom is pinning her. And these are two separate conversations, of course, which I find funny because Danielle is a part of both conversations. And I was watching it with somebody and I was like, this is why Danielle is renowned as like the best BB player to never win. Because look at how she's slyly maneuvering into these conversations and she's the traitor getting all this info. And she's not even like, she's just listening in on the conversation. And I feel like that's what Big Brother players do really well at. Obviously, maneuvering into different rooms and obviously getting whatever info they can. They're really good at that in comparison to other players. But yeah, Chriselle thinks pretty much Tom is going after her because she's good friends with Ariana, his ex, that he did majorly dirty, as we've all probably heard of. If you haven't, go look it up. Sandoval and Ariana. It was a shit show, apparently. I do not watch that show, so I don't know the intensity of it all, but apparently it was pretty crazy because he was cheating on her with a best friend, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to say it absolutely is based in pettiness, and like it just was like a. If I was, I'm like, I don't want her to be here. Like, listen, that scandal happened. I'm trying to keep my image clean. It was like going through PR, and I'm sorry, but his PR team needs to change. But it was like you were doing way too much with way too motherfucking little. But you know what, girl, worry about them pit stains before trying to figure out a traitor. Let's start with that.
Them pits, the pits of hell, for real. All right, so let's move on to the first mission. Did you have something to say about that, G?
I just heard that people thought he was going through things. Just saying.
Oh, that he was going through withdrawals? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say it. He looked like he was feeding.
I just had to be respectful.
No, he looked like he was.
I don't know, but he looked like he needs some sleep. So
yeah, he needed something. I don't know if it was sleep or not, but he needed something. So, the group goes on their first mission, and I'm not gonna hold y'all. I really think that the missions, they be whatever, honestly. But
really,
I mean, like some of them can be fun, not all of them. But I just feel like this one, because it's kind of something similar or like a remix of what they've done in the past. I was just like,
I will say, and I think like this can be a question kind of we go episode by episode. But how do y'all feel about like with these challenges and them giving out so many shields.
Yeah. I was gonna bring that up too.
Yes.
I don't know how I feel about so many people being protected like that. But I guess it's okay. I guess it's okay for the early episodes. Like, I hope it's not this many shields being offered as we progress. Like, I think they need to calm it down. Like, they're giving away too many shields.
Agreed. It's too much, and it's taken away from more drama that could be caused, like more names that could be said at the round table, more votes that could be going away to random people.
Yes.
Like, y'all need to stop that. Just do the 2 like y'all was doing before, max 4, and call it a day. Like 10, 12, like that's too much.
When they did 10 shields, I was like, oh, okay. Because now to me, I'm like, now y'all setting the traitors up. Because it's like, you are only having like this little many people. Like, again, I'm with you. Let's start with 4, 5 for the first like 3, 4, and then let's chop it up. Because this is too much.
I agree with that. I get it too. I just feel like they're saving too many people. Like, why? And so many of these people are not providing. So many of them are just like in the background.
Brittany's man.
3 is a good number. Yes, Lindsay. Thank you. Thank you. Lauren, I think it was too many shields, but I also feel mad about the missions, but it is hard trying to find stuff that all of them can do. That's true as well. I do understand that. But let's go through this mission.
I'm so sorry. To that comment though, I like seeing them in an environment where they're not so used to, like, they're so used to all this fancy stuff and all the, like, y'all better be running through the fucking mud. Y'all better be running in the damn rain. Y'all better be carrying heavy ass shit. The fuck? Like, I like to see them in that like that type of environment. Shit, if Phaedra and them can do it, y'all can do it too. So
I agree with that. I guess like I think everything that goes on in the castle is much more interesting than the missions. That's where I'm at, like, right now, so far. I just find them, like, obviously talking or trying to strategize much more interesting than the challenges themselves. But speaking of the first mission challenge, so they had to work together to paddle this big ass dragon shaped boat throughout a lake or a loch or whatever. There were 5 platoons with barrels of gasoline and money. The group needed to paddle their way to each of these platforms, grab the gas and as much cash as possible. Usually, I think it was like 10K per platoon, right? And then return to shore to light a giant ring of fire where anyone inside that ring of fire at the end would win a shield. Once they got to the platoons, they learned with each step that they need to sacrifice 2 players in order to get to the platoon with money. And then shackle those 2 sacrifice players there for the duration of the mission. So then we see the first platoon, we see them struggling at first. And it was Bob's ass that got them together with the hoe and heave, heave and hoe, heave and hoe, heave and hoe. I said, not the drag queen getting you all together. Come on now. But then we get to the first platoon. It's Robin and Ayan that they sacrifice themselves. They easily go, right? Then Ayan's like, dang, like, maybe I shouldn't have gotten off, whatever. Then the second platoon, it's Dorinda and Dolores. Then they also realize, dang, they're going to think that it's a housewife for sure, because now it's 4 housewives. I was like, why would y'all do that? Why would y'all sacrifice yourselves like that?
They weren't thinking.
Right. And this was like, it was brilliant for Bob to step up and not only speak on the even how, first of all, rowing the boat, first of all, that big and that far, baby, my arms would be dead. My arms, noodles. But second thing is, like, Bob was so smart here because not only speaking up will get the housewives as an ally for you because you're standing up for them, but it's also like y'all need to, because clearly the men knew what was going on. They saw the shit. And it's like, no, baby, y'all are not Hercules. No, this isn't Hercules. Like, no.
Yeah. they wanted to just save themselves, right? Because they're like, oh, we're gonna need the stronger people to paddle back. Like, y'all need to get the money so y'all can actually have a pot. Like, I'm confused. Somebody has to go. What they should have did is probably one man, one woman, man, one woman, and called it a day, honestly. But I'm noticing that these people don't actually think things through, like the actual game that they're playing, the mission that they're doing, in order to come up with some sort of like plan to help them actually make it far. But like for me, when y'all didn't go get the second platoon of money, y'all already gave up so many fucking people. What was 2 more people to go and get 20K? Like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, I didn't understand that. And obviously we see Bob like get off the boat along with Danielle after he's like, yo, we can't keep having the women get off. And Gabby even says like, this is regular. I do Pilates. Like I could do this. And Ivar is the main, right? Ivar, he's the main one making the comment like, oh, we need strong men. We need strong men. And obviously it's just him being super sexist. Like, no, you don't, because you're not a strong man yourself. You're not one of the strongest. Why don't you get off? So I was like obviously appreciative of Bob getting off, and then Danielle obviously looking upset, like playing this up, and then both of them getting on the platform and talking to each other like, oh, I'm so worried I'm gonna get killed or whatever.
But can we am I the only one who felt like Danielle was just playing it a little bit too hard? Nobody else, like, you're literally drawing attention to yourself. Like, nobody else was as emotional or doing all of that. Like, you did not need to do that. Just we'll move. Well, let's keep going.
Yeah, she was doing a lot, but it was funny. And then on the 4th platoon, it's supposed to be Bob, H, and Sam. Finally, right? 2 guys are gonna get off, and then the group decides, no, actually, we're not going to bother getting that last bit of money. We're just going to go back and get shields for ourselves. And Bob said that literally as they were rowing back, they were over here hoeing and heaving and everything. And he's like, they really just left. So we're over here thinking that they got the money and they just rowing back. They're pissed. And I feel like rightfully so, because as we saw, once they light up the ring of fire, I think it was Tom that lit it up. They're over here like, hoe and heave, hoe and heave, hoe and heave and hoe, whatever. And I'm just like, this is so funny.
It's funny, and also it's fucked up, because how are you gonna be ditching the person who gave y'all that strategy in the first place? And y'all ain't gonna be. And then here's another thing too. Like, if we're really gonna talk about it, if you are going from platoon to platoon, or platform to platform to trade off people versus gasoline, I am positive the people weigh more than the gasoline. So it probably would maybe even be easier to row with less people, in my opinion. Just a thought. I don't know.
Yeah.
Shady boots.
I agree. It was very shady. And the rest of the people that are obviously on the platforms, they realize like, hold on. They left without us. So now instead of it being 10 people up for murder, it's only 8. So now their chances of surviving have lowered. So Dorinda herself, she's pissed. They're pissed as fuck. And even Alan, after the group finishes the challenge, the mission, he even says, y'all could have went and gotten the money. Y'all had time. I was like, what are they doing? They don't give a damn about the money. They really think like, I guess because in previous seasons, Alan gives them the opportunity to make up the 250 prize pot. But I'm like, I would hope they don't. I actually want them to not give them such a huge opportunity to raise it up to 250, you know? Like, no, you had your chances at the start of the season.
And I'm sure those competitions, those missions were the easier ones that y'all could have like actually gotten through and gotten that money. You just needed 2 more people. You already let go of 8. Right. At that point, anybody could have just jumped off. You know what I mean? And then everybody would have did whatever they wanted to do at the end of the day. But y'all would have had the $20,000.
Yeah.
Simple.
But okay. So then we go back to the castle.
Go ahead. Sorry. That makes me think of like I think I would prefer them to have a mixed cast, like not just all celebrities, because when it was like the first season and they had, just new people, new fresh people to the screens, they wanted the money. Like they wanted the money and they wanted to find the traitors. Like, you know what I mean?
And I'm sorry, I still go back to season 1 to that one man with the terrible reads, the politician. I'm sorry, he was one of my favorite parts of the season.
Good.
I love it when they're loud and wrong.
Yeah, me too. That's like Tom. Like he's so wrong. He is very wrong all the time. But okay, so they go back to the castle, right? The shielded crew leaves them. They're left on the platforms. Apparently, Bob said that they were on there for a long time. He doesn't even know how long, but it felt like forever, and that they were getting wet and it was cold as hell. So they go back to the castle, they change, they eat dinner without them and leave them scraps. And baby, the ones on the platoons, they are heated, and I don't blame them. Heated. Because if I'm hungry as hell and you're going to feed me scrap, we scrapping.
I'm going off. Like, first of all, I done sacrificed myself for y'all. Y'all got me in the freezing fucking cold. My hair, y'all feel me? Like, it's raining. Y'all got me standing. First of all, I can't swim. I'm on a dock where I'm just tethered to anything could fucking happen. Don't even know what's going on. Then I get back to the motherfucking crib, and y'all motherfuckers couldn't even wait to eat? Y'all didn't even literally be like, okay, let's leave them a proper amount, or don't touch this tray, whatever. Y'all didn't even think about nobody. I go there and I'm scavenging with the 8 other people who's trying to scavenge too, and I'm greedy. So I'm sorry, y'all. Like, first come, first serve. But like, excuse you. I would have went off just like Dorinda, dead ass.
I would have too. I would have sat there. I would have gotten in there and been like, "Oh, y'all ate dinner. I'm gonna serve you dessert." Because again, we're on a rocky platform. Let there be a wave. Let there be some motion in the ocean, and that platform flipped. Oh, I would have flipped the table. I would have been New Jersey, Teresa. I would have been, let's go. Because what you're not gonna do, one, like G said, I already sacrificed my safety. 2, then you left my ass, and then 3, you don't even think about me eating food. For being out there with the wind, the rain, and the wet. I would have been pissed. I really would have read every single one of them down the line. I would have been like, all right, now we can really get it cooking. Like, you want to eat? Trust, I'll serve. You already at the dinner table. Let me serve you a plate.
I agree. And then Dorinda, obviously, she's pissed off. Like, I don't blame her. Because she's eating scraps. Ivar starts accusing Dorinda of being a traitor at this point. Danielle is like fake crying, but she's honestly, she's convincing them, because she's like, I don't want to talk to nobody. Like, leave me alone. So I felt like that was a good strategy. So like, nobody's obviously, they don't want to bother her. They don't want to upset her even further. And yeah, even though some people felt like she was doing too much, I felt like that was the perfect time for her to do that.
Let me say this. She was doing too much on the boat. When she got home, I agree. That was the perfect way to play it. I see what she's trying to do. Do you understand? But I think the effort that she puts into certain times, you understand?
Yeah.
It's like, girl, that's not needed. You know what I mean? But when they got home and she was like, just don't talk to me. Perfect timing for you to be doing all that. Like, it was good. It was perfect. I agree.
I'm gonna try to go through this fast because but I knew that the first episode was going to be a little bit long for us because it's obviously the introduction to the season. But anyway, so the Traitors, they are meeting for the first time. The Faithfuls go on to bed. Traitors do their oath with Alan, and then they meet at the turret. Danielle and Bob reveal themselves to each other, and they are having a key. They blasted. They having a blast. Like, they're having a great grand old time because they're like, yes, like, look at us. And Bob had mentioned, like Oliver said, that like he obviously saw Danielle as like almost like a similar person or to his mother, who his mother had passed away very recently to the show. I want to say 2 or 3 weeks prior to them filming. And then also they got to bond on that platform while they were out there for however long. So it made sense like why they were so happy to be with one another. And Bob had also said that after getting into the castle, he learned that Danielle was like obviously this beloved like BB player and that she was an icon, etc. Whatever. And then obviously they are joined by Carolyn. And I think they're completely thrown off by that. And they're like, oh, wow.
I got the biggest key from the separate reaction between Bob and Danielle, and then with Carol, that was funny to me because I just was like, oh y'all, don't play in her face like that.
If Carolyn would have seen how they reacted, or if she was the one that joined in first and then saw Danielle or Bob meet, she would have felt so fucked up.
She would have felt so left out completely, honestly, because you can already tell like the dynamic of them two is already so like strong. And then for Caroline to come in and I don't know, she doesn't give me anything. I don't get anything from her. But you know, she's the last one, and they did her a huge disservice because they could have just introduced all of them at the same time.
Yeah.
But like when they added Caroline to it, it just messed up the whole vibe of the Traitors. Does that make sense? They should have brought somebody just as equally as messy or as like a vibe as them, if that makes sense. Or strong as them, because let me just stop there. But
no, I agree with you. But the good thing is that they did tell her, like, honestly, you didn't give anything off. Like, we couldn't guess that it was you. So I'm guessing what we see, like, obviously from the confessionals and what they show us of Carolyn, like, she looks a lot more anxious than what she really is, and she's doing a better job in the house. So I will give her that. So then while they're meeting, Alan is now meeting with Boston Rob in the woods and pretty much tells him that there are consequences for the players' actions of them not choosing him to join the game. And now he's going to be joining them as a traitor tomorrow. But Rob is not joining the game alone. And at this moment, I was like, oh my God, what else? Like, damn, now this man is going to be a traitor. I was disappointed because I was like, I've heard so much of this Boston Rob dude. Like, that's so easy to like make him a traitor. Like, why not make him fight as a faithful?
That's true, but his ass would have been out first. He was a faithful. But I see where they were going with Boston Rob. The drama that not even drama, the way that he thinks about these games. Do you understand? Nobody, not even their great mastermind Derek, is, you know what I mean? Is on the same level as fucking Rob. Rob, that man is cutthroat. Like, you see how Bob wants to be a cutthroat player, that man is. Like, he really is. So, and not to say that, you know, I'm a huge fan of Boston Rob or anything like that, but I literally went back and watched a whole bunch of Survivor shit. And, like, just the way he plays, that man is very smart. He's not to be played with. You can't put nothing past him. So, why wouldn't they make him be a traitor? He would be the perfect traitor. He would also be the most obvious one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's how I felt.
But like I don't see him. If he was a faithful, he would have been out immediately. So I'd rather him be the traitor, cause a ruckus with everybody, like, you know, try to throw them off a little bit, and then you can go again. you know? But, yeah.
I agree. And I think that I think this is, for me, a little bit of a problem with casting because, there's nobody who kind of really up there like a Boston Rob. Like, you would have to, like, have somebody like a Suri or, I mean, like, I'm not going to get into Derek. I don't really believe in that Kool-Aid. That's fine. If that's for you, drink it. For me, I'll pass. But like, I just kind of want somebody else. Like, give me like a just because, like, we need somebody, like, I guess like Wes kind of, but even Wes, I'm not really there. But like, I just feel like they could have had other game players like him.
Yes,
to make it less obvious that he is a traitor.
I agree. But hold on though. Hold on. Do I agree? Because I don't want to give it away, but like when they do bring the other two people to come into the game with him, I think that was a great mix for them to mix him in between so that it wasn't so obvious that he's a traitor.
True.
You know what I mean? True. Because if I was in the house and I saw all three of them come in, bro, y'all all three traitors. All y'all. Every single one of y'all. I don't care. I'm voting. One of y'all gotta go because one of y'all are the traitors, obviously. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. So then we start off episode 2, Revenge is a Dish Best Served Cold. We start off the episode seeing who will be entering the game with Boston Rob, and it's Wes from the challenge and Derek from BB. And I know Wes more than anything from the challenge as a huge challenge fan. He was the underdog who kind of turned out to be the villain, but kind of like the villain that you root for. And then Derek, I just know that Derek won BB. That's all that I know.
I just love how Wes just came from House of Villains begging for second place. Listen, I will always kind of drag Wes, no shade. And so, listen, I just think it's kind of fitting. Maybe he'll beg again. I don't know.
Maybe.
Do y'all see where I'm saying, like, they did a good job bringing Rob in with Wes, such a like dynamic player, strategic game player, you know, and Derek, who's supposed to be a mastermind and played everybody. You know what I mean? Like, they did a good job in just throwing him in there, not just like by himself with two other randoms. Like, I'm like, obviously you're the damn traitor. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. Like, having two very well-known people from their original shows. Because, like, even though I've never seen Derek's season, so I can't tell you anything. But, like, Wes is such a big character in the challenge who, honestly, people still do root for, even though he embarrassed himself on House of Villains. I still can't believe he got on his knees and did that. Okay. Especially that, like, he don't need the money. Like, what the fuck are you doing, Wes? You won the show 4 times.
Let me give Derek a little bit of grace, right? Because I did watch, and that was the first season where I actually watched BB all the way through. Shout out to Zach. Anyways, Derek really played all of them like a motherfucking fiddle. Like, but then again, I think about the cast. Like, these people are idiots. Like, were y'all not, like, you know what I mean? Y'all are on here playing Big Brother and you just letting someone take over the whole game. Like, you're actually giving it to them, like, the whole way through. But he did that shit. He did not get nominated. None of that. He did that. So I will give him that as to why he's like such a mastermind and whatever. And he did win his season and all of that. But yeah, I'd rather have Rob in the game as a traitor.
Gotcha.
I agree. Okay. Like, Derek's great, but I also think, like, I guess for me, I'm also looking at it from a TV, the Traitors perspective, where that entertainment aspect is added into it. And that's where I'm kind of like, Derek, because like Derek's just flat for me. Flat. Just
there's no flair, there's no flavor, there's no style. Like, it's just very
yeah, he's just flat with bad reads in this game. I'll leave it at that.
Well, maybe he's getting a little bit warmer, right? Like, he is sus of Rob at this point, so maybe he starts detecting a little bit better. Maybe he starts using his cop training a little bit better. I don't freaking know. Anyway, so let's get into and before we move forward, we also see obviously Wes, Derek, and Rob reveal themselves to one another, not in that way. But they show they unveil themselves and they're like, oh, I know you, you a goat. Okay. Like, we gotta back each other up. We gotta work together. And they promise each other that they're gonna do that. So then we get back to the Traitors in the turret, and Bob and Danielle are kind of on the same page, thinking of Dorinda to frame Ivor. And then Carolyn is like, no, I want to go for Robin and use Dorinda as a shield, which I understood. And I was thinking I would have done that as well. What are y'all thinking? Who do you think should have been the first murder if it wasn't Dorinda?
One of the housewives.
See?
Literally, they were on the right track with regards to getting one of them gone, but I didn't care. I honestly didn't care which one. I would have liked to see Chanel Ayan's outfits, but
it's also hard because it's like at that point, what? So like you had 8 people up who could be murdered. Obviously, 2 of them couldn't because they were traitors, and there was 4 of them. So it's like it's as unfortunate as it is. Like that's just the majority of them. And again, is that their fault? Not necessarily, because I think the group played it very dumb. I think the group played it very poorly. Would I have kept Dorinda? I think so. Because like I just like, especially like entering in, I wouldn't know how to like read Robin. I feel like I would have a much easier time being able to read Dorinda and like how she can move through the game. And I think that it would be easier to expect versus a Robin. So I probably would have done the same with Carolyn, and I would have kept Dorinda over Robin.
I feel like they probably felt like they could have had more control over Robin because Robin is very much more gullible, and like you can tell and her story, and but
clearly
Dorinda
the reads are wrong.
Shit. Yeah, they're always wrong. But Dorinda, we know she don't play that shit, and she speaks whatever's on her mind. Shout out to the New York ladies and all that stuff. But like, yeah, I think they did a good job getting Dorinda out. But then again, it might be a bias of me, like, trying to see who's more moldable versus who's not as moldable or controllable. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I do want to go into like obviously them trying to frame Ivor because however you say his name, I'm so sorry to that man. But I feel like they could have played that up even more. I was just like, are y'all forgetting to frame him? Like, why are y'all not setting this up more? But anyway, so we get to breakfast, and then Tony thinks Dorinda is a traitor because of how upset she was. And then Bob and Danielle, or obviously everybody else gets in the room. We notice that Dorinda doesn't make it, right? And Bob and Danielle are literally crying. Bob explained that he was really like crying. He was legit crying. He wasn't playing it. He just felt like very emotional. Again, this is Bob's like first like actual competition show since he was on RuPaul's Drag Race. He has not gone back or anything like that, especially one that involves strategy as such. So he just said he was very emotional and he wasn't acting, and he did think that it was sad to like send someone home. Which I understand. Danielle, I think she was playing it up. And then we saw Carolyn obviously say like, okay, I think they're doing too much.
And yeah, I agree. And again, too, like it was, I think Bob said that the funeral was 2 weeks before going to filming. So I'm sure there was so much grief and so much just affecting how they were emotionally, how they were received. And also too, we'll get to it later, but there was another part where it was super triggering, and I completely understand why. So I mean, I believe it.
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to highlight some of these comments. I love Carolyn. I'm also biased because a few months ago I started watching her podcast reviewing this past season of Survivor. So I have a soft spot for her, but I also like quirky people. Yeah, I mean, she's cool. I just like, I don't know much of her. Lindsay, people.
Go ahead.
No, go.
I like quirky people as well. She's just not giving me, like, she's not speaking up for herself. If you truly don't want to do something or you don't agree with something, fight back. Like, you're a traitor too. You know what I mean? You can expose these motherfuckers. Like, I want her to be like, listen to me. I don't want her to be like, they're not listening to me. They're not listening. Shut the hell up.
Yeah. You know, she has been singing that tune for a while. Like, they don't listen to me. They don't do this. I agree with that. There are people who consider Derek the GOAT of VB. I mean, he might be one of them. Derek joined only to satisfy his ego because Cody didn't do so well. Okay. Yeah, I could see that too. Because that's his partner in crime, right? And then Dorinda was loud and wrong, so they should have kept her. I also see that train of thought as well. I get it. Like, I personally would have kept Dorinda as a shield because she was entertaining and she had a loud mouth. I would have definitely sent somebody else home. I think Tom could have been a perfect person to go home, and then y'all could have pinned it on Chriselle.
It could have been Tom, and it could have been Britney Spears' ex. Whoever
that
person is.
For Britney. For Britney.
Like, what are we doing?
Okay, the hell. But Bob had also said, like, people, when it was announced, they were like, "Oh, we hope you go after Tom and Sam." He's like, "I don't know these people." But anyway, so Dorinda, bye sis, you're out of here. So we go to the second mission. They introduce the 3 new players to the group. Again, it's Wes, Derek, and Boston Rob. The 3 new cage players have shields to give out and can give them to whoever helps release them from the cages. The players will be searching for coins and bags throughout the woods and will be depositing these coins in the 3 new players like tubes. Once the tubes get filled, that cage player joins the game. 5K gets added to the prize pot. So in total, they would win 15,000 overall if they get all 3. And then mostly everybody starts helping Boston Rob, then Derek, and then Wes last. And then we even see a moment where Ayan tells Wes, like, "Are you a TikToker or something like that?" And I was just like, no.
Why do y'all think that is that they chose that order to help?
Well, Wes is the only challenge person there, whereas Boston Rob and Derek have other people from their franchises. That's what I thought of it. So,
I agree. I feel like it was recognition from Carolyn and oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. The other guy,
Jeremy.
Jeremy, yeah,
and Tony.
Yeah. And then from Derek, then it was Brittany and Danielle. So I feel like it's in that line.
And then we even see, right, like that Derek says, like, Danielle is literally the best to never win for BB, and pretty much kind of goes like, yeah, Brittany's here kind of thing. And that's how it's been feeling, because Brittany has no airtime, none whatsoever. Like, she's completely irrelevant. Sometimes I forget that she's even there.
Which is a gag. That's a gag.
Right. So then another funny moment that I thought was hilarious was when Bob the drag queen obviously tells Rob, like, his fashion, like, is a fucking crime, because I believe it too. Like, is Rob balding? Why does he have that snapback like on all the time? I'm confused.
Because he's always worn a hat, a Boston hat. So I think maybe it's just to keep it going. And yeah, that just happens when you wear, you don't let your hair breathe and let your head breathe and shit like that. So, but I agree with Bob. Had a hat, yeah, of course. Now, like,
I'm sorry, him taking off the hood and having a hat under there, and that cracked me up. And then with the dress shoes. Are we in 2005? Are we in 2007? You remember when the guy
I was just about to say
the business casual?
Yep.
I didn't understand that, but hey, whatever. So then, obviously, like, they all help them get uncaged and out of there. And as they're adding the coins, they're dropping a little bit lower to the floor. And with seconds remaining on the clock, they get them all freed. And then Alan then says that the 3 new players will be immune from banishment, but they also cannot vote at the round table. So they're just there. Perfect attendance for them, And yeah, I thought this little challenge, I thought it was cute. It was all right. They got active a little bit. Whatever.
I guess. Could care less.
This was the challenge for me where I was like, out of the 4 episodes, this one was the most like, okay, we're here.
I agree. Siona, I agree. She kind of just lets everything happen. Yeah. I'm sure you're talking about Carolyn. All right, so we're back at the castle. Tom is giving the 3 guys the rundown, and he's doing a horrible job, as per usual, because Tom doesn't know what the hell is going on in the game. I was like, this is the worst person to be giving y'all a little tour and breakdown of the game and where it stands. Just saying. Wells' name is now being said for being cold and kind of shady. And then Wells and Dylan think Robin is a traitor. So now that starts becoming a conversation, etc., because of how she reacted to Dorinda being gone. And I was like, which, okay.
To me, makes no damn fucking sense. Like,
yeah.
Robin. Like, let's be for fucking real. She can't even explain herself at roundtables and shit without getting like caught up in what she's trying to say or cover her ass and shit like that. You think she'd be Alan would make her a traitor? Like, let's be for real. Like,
Right.
come on now.
Oh man. So let's get into the round table, right? So at the round table, because the conversation of Wells is being thrown out there as a traitor, Bob decides, let me just start it. And I thought this was so funny for Bob to start it because I was like, bro, lay low, but he don't know how to lay low at all. So Bob throws Wells' name up in the mix and says Wells' behavior has changed, and others agree. And Robin is like, no, I agree because now you're throwing my name too under the bus. And Wells also thinks it's Sam. And I was like, what the hell? Where did the Sam idea come from? I thought that was odd. How did y'all feel about Wells being thrown up in there and his reaction and who he was throwing it back at to?
I'm still confused about the Sam. I'm still confused. Where did that happen? And yes, I do agree. The thing with Bob, especially if you know and watch a lot of their content, when Bob said, "Oh, you were talking for 10 minutes and I listened, I didn't interrupt, and that's hard." That is so true. Y'all do not understand. 12 minutes and Bob not speaking, that is they have to constantly, they do. They just have to all right, let me hold back. So I'm like, that's just who they are. Full stop. But yeah, I was confused when Sam came through. I was like, now why is he in it? Where did we were going here, and then why are we going with the left? What happened?
I honestly wasn't paying attention to Wells, even though he was a part of the damn show. But I just wish Bob didn't start. Like, you did not need to bring that up. You could have just let the person who was actually saying his name and going around like truly having beef with him say the name. Why would you throw out somebody's name? It's never good to throw out somebody's name ever. So unless you're like, yeah, I'm voting this person out, I want them gone, I have proof that they're this, like, for you to do that and then for what to happen, like, come on now. You're just giving people too much leeway to you a traitor. But okay.
Yeah. It was a little hot, but I mean, he played it off. And then Music Neurons, G with the bust down. Okay. Hey, Music. And Oliver with his hydrated wash and go. Okay. Bob didn't know that. Yeah. I guess so. But it was just funny. Then I want to comment on this because Chriselle ate. Chriselle threw the whole fucking book at Tom. Honestly, she said, well, the traitor has to be a cheater and a liar and a deceitful person, so it has to be Tom. Considering he has experience in that kind of thing. And I was like,
I love how Chriselle just does not. She be like, no, I'm just gonna say it. They be thinking because she's Bambi or doe-eyed and all that stuff that she don't be having a valid point. My girl peeps game, and she don't fuck with you. She don't fuck with that shit. She don't like none of that. Leave her out of it. And I fuck with Chriselle because of that. So good shit.
Listen, I'm team. If it's up, it's stuck. Tom threw the first brick when we were first entering, and listen, the table set. Let's run it back.
Right.
It's like, if you want to play tag, then tag, you're it.
You want to play? Let's play then. And Chriselle is not some. I'll be cuter.
Adorable.
I'll be cute. Exactly. I'll be adorable. We could get beautiful. I live for Chriselle. Chriselle is shady as hell. And I just love how she will dead ass just throw it back at anybody. That's for anyone. If y'all have not seen Selling Sunset, when people come at Chriselle, they think that she's like this sweet, doe-eyed girl. No, she's going to serve it right back at you. She do not give a damn. So
that's
interesting for everyone.
That's interesting because I've never watched that show. And when I seen her and she was just like, I was like, energy. Like, don't be letting these people walk all over you. This is Traitors. You're going to have to speak up for yourself. You have to defend yourself. Like, hello.
No, yeah.
So, yeah.
Chriselle is great. So obviously Chriselle votes for Tom. Tom votes for Chriselle. The votes are really all over the place for this banishment. And then Wells ends up getting banished. Oh well. Oh well. Bye Wells. So after banishment, we see Dylan, Robin, and Ion talk and say it's Bob's fault that Wells got banished. But pretty much like Dylan knows he has no numbers to get Bob the drag queen out. There's no way. And at this moment, shields are now being given away after the 3 caged men are able to see how banishment goes. They're like, oh, this is type chaotic. Like, this is crazy. Boston Rob ends up giving his shield to Tony. And Derek ends up giving his shield to Dylan. And then Wes gives his shield to Jeremy. But what's funny about all this is that the traitors are pretty much in the know as to who gets the shields. Because Boston Rob obviously gave it to Tony. Derek gives it to Dylan. But Derek also tells Danielle that he gave it to Dylan. Like, why would you do that? And then Wes gives it to Jeremy, and I think Boston Rob peeps this. So they pretty much know who has the shields, which is great for them. So the traitors are set up perfectly well, and the traitors link up, and Boston Rob joins them in the turret. And gagged.
They were gagged. But I will say though that let's go back to that round
shield
table
giveaway.
Voted out.
Oh,
sorry, to the round table where they voted out Wells. Bob didn't even vote for Wells to be voted out. Like, what are you? Why say anything then and not even vote for the person's name that you're throwing out? That looks suspicious.
Yes, but he voted for Ivor, who he voted for previously too.
But why are you speaking up?
Yes, I agree.
Saying somebody's name and then just, because I voted for, that doesn't make sense to me. So if I was such and such who peeped his shit after, I'd have been like, this not making any sense. But let's talk about 3 men giving 3 shields to 3 men. Let's talk about that. Because
let's talk about it.
Any women involved in any of this? Well, how come? Like, because if I was Danielle and Caroline and I knew that Rob is a traitor as well, I'd have been like, Rob, you need to go give it to a woman, you know what I'm saying? Especially maybe someone from the housewife thing or something to just allow them to even throw it more in Ivar or to just cause chaos, you know what I mean? I'm like, are y'all people not thinking you're giving it to 3 men? What are you gonna, like, what? I just can't.
Especially after the round table. I'm sorry, if I was one of the 3 men, the first person I would have went to, Chriselle.
Like, what are you doing?
I would have immediately gone to the and I understand too that we don't see the full picture. I would be so curious to see if the 3 men knew about the Bambis, because that's also another thing. I would have went there and I would have said, oh, let me try and link up with them, because even like Dylan said, it's a numbers game. And so I want numbers on my side. I don't know why they didn't think about that. That to me made no sense. I was like, you have a whole 3-4 people in lines you could pick up immediately, but you just didn't do it. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I'm like, I don't think they're realizing that this Bambi alliance is going to be something that they're going to have to face, and they could block a whole vote because it's 3 of them and they're standing strong with one another. And Gabby herself said, later on, she says this, she doesn't care if any of them are traitors. She's willing to work with a traitor. But so, yeah, they're not happy. Boston Rob joins them. Well, Danielle is the only one that seems a little bit satisfied with Boston Rob joining them, because she's like, okay, I would rather work with him than work against him. But obviously Bob is not excited, because Bob was literally just telling them like, oh, I think they're gonna be out to get me. And then obviously Carolyn has her experience and knowledge of how Boston Rob moves, so she was worried. And yeah, so we see them. We're going into episode 3 now, nailing a coffin. Okay, we're moving, guys, we're moving. Let's see if we get to episode 4 quickly. So Boston Rob joins the rest of the traitors. Bob wants to murder another housewife for chaos, and he's kind of being a bit stubborn about it, I'm not gonna lie. and the rest of them don't agree. Rob is even like, okay, like I gotta bring some order to this. So they lay out their options, and it's Tom, Ayan, and Dolores. So how did y'all feel about these three options? Would y'all have chosen somebody else? What are y'all thinking?
Tom could have definitely been an option, but I think they should have fell off of the housewives train if they weren't even really throwing it on Ivar. Like y'all weren't even keeping up with the facade of like making him be out to take the fall for these things. So it's like, yeah, you guys should have just left the housewives alone. You know what I mean? And I truly do believe that they should have just got rid of a man. Honestly, y'all already saved 3 men. Y'all should have just got rid of one. I mean, but yeah.
Oh, real quick. I did like the fact that they were able to observe the round table and not have to go right into a vote. Yes, it's an advantage the position I'd like to be in if I was playing. Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely the position I would prefer as well. Music neurons. Honestly, I would work with a traitor too. It's better than generating new ones every week. Yeah. I agree, y'all. Y'all are saying great opinions in the chat. Keep them coming. So where were we? Okay. So obviously it's between those three. I don't know who they're gonna pick at this point. I'm thinking they're gonna pick Dolores because Dolores knows more of the game than I am. So it's breakfast time. The first ones are Boston Rob, Wes, and Derek. And then we see Danielle being pretty vocal about her thoughts. Rob was looking at her sideways like, yo, you talking a little bit too much. And I did think that Danielle was doing a little bit too much at the start of the breakfast. I don't know why she felt like she needed to talk so much, but hey. And then Ayan ends up being murdered and she was sad about it. But Heike, like, you didn't know what the hell was going on anyway.
And honestly, they got rid of your bestie. Well, I guess you would the next best option, honestly. So
right. I've known him this entire time. I've known him for like you've known him for 2 days. Maybe one.
But do y'all feel like so far out of the people who has left, do you feel like any of them would have made a good traitor?
No.
I don't think so either.
No. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Would I have liked to see some of the people left or who got banished, like Dorinda, Ayan, more at more roundtables? Yeah. Yes, but as a traitor, no.
I agree. Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to see them as a traitor. I don't think they would have played, especially Ayan. Like, she didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, I feel like she wouldn't have been a good traitor. She would have been completely clueless on strategy, etc. She would have just been following whatever the gamers did, to be honest. And so then we see like Dolores and Robin make their comments regarding like the housewives, one more down. And they're like, oh, this game is like the housewife hunters. And Robin's like, oh, you guys have a hard on for the housewives. I was like, what is happening? That was a good one, Robin. That was a good one. So then after they obviously see that Ayan is out, everyone scurries off into their separate rooms. Carolyn talks to the faithfuls, and she's pretty much feeling like nobody's listening to her. The usual, what she's been saying every episode. And Jeremy confides in Carolyn and tells her he thinks Danielle is a traitor because she's acting funny. And I said, ooh, Danielle, you acting a little too much. Because Jeremy peep it. What do you say, G?
It was too much, especially at that breakfast table. Like, did you eat this? Are you doing this? What do you think of this? Like, girl, you really don't even talk that much. Like, why you literally just be sneaking into people's rooms? Everybody automatically trusts you. You don't need to say anything. Don't say anything. Just stop it. Like, I want her to get so far and I want her to do so well, but it's looking like it's not going to happen. But let's see. Hopefully she turns it around.
So then, okay. No, I was unmuting myself. So then, we see like Robin and Wes having a convo, and Robin tells Wes she thinks Tony is a traitor, and then Wes then runs and tells Tony. And then Dylan starts throwing Bob the drag queen's name out of thin air again. Pretty much trying to push it, but he clearly does not have the numbers for Bob. So then we go on to this third mission, and honestly, this mission was a chop. A chop. A hiya chop.
Complete waste of time.
A pork chop
of time. And honestly,
oh my God.
For them to not even get any money, not even, bro, for the fourth people, what's his name? Bob H. and Dolores, for y'all to pick the wrong fucking door on the fourth option. Wait, let's even go back. Who describes doors like that? If I'm walking in there and I see that there's 4 doors, I would be like, okay, when you walk in, the first door closest, furthest to the left, like, you know what I mean? Y'all be describing triangles and shit. Y'all not gonna remember that shit. Is it the first door? Is it the second? Like, from your left or from your right? Like, what the fuck were y'all?
I have a question. That's what I was thinking. I was like, did they have rules like they couldn't state the placements of the doors? They had to describe what the doors look like, because that's what I thought. What were you gonna say, Oliver?
No, that's what I think is, or what was the stipulation, because it would have been so easy to say door number 1, 2, 3, 4. But even with that stipulation, like G said, this was frustrating to watch, because like, how are you not gonna like be, oh, the door with the spirals, the door with this, like, and not only that, but also, why are y'all who are going 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th not watching?
Or remembering. They can't even watch, but to hear, like, to remember it. And I'm just like, what do y'all do? Okay, fine. I didn't know that there was a stipulation of possibly,
I don't know what
not
it was,
saying,
but I just guessed.
But even if
we don't know. Yeah, right.
Even if that was the case, they could have, the first people who went in, they could have been like, the first door is such colors, whatever. Just the top row, whatever. The next one is such with gold circles. I don't fucking know. The next one is blue, purple, like, y'all could have literally just been like, the first triangle in the top right corner is this color. And y'all would have been done. Y'all would have made money. And I think that's my issue with this season, is like, I understand that some people are they don't really care about the games and the missions and stuff like that, but I want some money. Like,
right.
I'm doing all of this to not be making any fucking money. What are we doing?
Agreed. Yeah, because that's how I felt. I was just like, and we see that right later on in the next episode, where Bob is like, let's think of a plan instead of just going and doing. And he's like, I'm just talking to myself. And I understand that frustration, because this is something that they could have done similar to that. Think of a game plan. Okay, like, Tony was pissed that he was the first one to go, but it's just like, bro, like, just go. Like, it doesn't matter. You can't get everything that you want. You also did not offer to sacrifice yourself in the first mission. Like, come on. And you were protected.
And also, the other thing that really made me mad too is, like, if you make it across, that's not $2,000 to you. That's to the bank. So why are we acting like, oh, I'm mad that my balloon got popped and that's not $2,000 for me? You're doing it for the better of the people. Like, I just was like, what are we? What's going on? You're clicking, but it's clicking down. It's clicking down.
You're clicking down.
You made me think about something, Keeks, because when they were arguing about who's gonna go first, how did y'all feel about everybody trying to gang up on Tony to go first? Like, why is everybody yelling at everybody to go first? At the end of the day, y'all all can't win. It was literally gonna be maybe 1 or 2 people who would have, if they would have played that fourth person right, the fourth team to go, it could have been at least one person who cleared the entire thing. So for it to just be up to Wes and Ciara, is that her name, Ciara?
Yeah.
To make the choice out of 4, what they should have had was at least 4 people make it to the last fucking thing. But no, they couldn't do that. So they only had to just go with 1, and it ended up being wrong anyways. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, y'all over here fighting about who's going first. Y'all all not gonna win. And at the end of the day, it's like Oliver was saying, the money is not coming to you specifically. But I get that they wanted a shield. But if you knew that this is kind of like an elimination type of game, bro, y'all all not getting a shield. So what's the problem? What are we wasting time for? So, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I understand what you're saying. It was very frustrating seeing them do this, and yeah, I didn't understand why they were obviously saying like for Tony to do it, but I also felt like Tony, just do it. You had a shield, like you were protected, like you can't be protected every freaking time. So just like be a team player. If you beg for a shield or you make yourself look like you want a shield so bad, it makes it seem like you're a traitor, right? You're trying to play off as a faithful, which you are a faithful. So why not just do it? But whatever, him and Bob H getting into it, I was like, this is so stupid. And yeah, as we saw, they enter the fun house. Nobody won money. Everybody gets their balloon popped. You know, obviously Wes and Sierra, they make it to the end, but unfortunately they don't get anything either. And then these people are stuck with glitter for the rest of the freaking day or two because they literally still had a glitter all over themselves.
Even down to the round table, you still can
yes,
see.
they was literally shining like Edward Cullen. Like, why they had all that glitter on them? Like, it was crazy. So then we're back at the castle, right? On the way back to the castle, Jeremy starts saying that he thinks Danielle is a traitor in the car. But guess who's in the car with him? A fellow traitor, Bob. And Bob runs into the castle and tells Danielle immediately. In this moment, Carolyn also joins that conversation and she tells Danielle, oh, yeah, Jeremy told me your name earlier as well. Wow, that.
How do we feel about that?
I mean, I was happy that they told her. Like,
hold on though, because would Carolyn have told her if Bob
right
didn't tell her? Because she been had that information from Jeremy before they even went to wherever they were going. So, girl.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, maybe Carolyn was gonna wait until they're back up in the terror to like say something, because obviously I could also understand them trying not to meet up as much so that there's no suspicions on them because they are such a random group, I guess. I don't know. Also, do y'all remember if there's like a rule where you can't have as many people in a room? I feel like there was like a behind the scenes rule or something. Somebody had said it on one of their interviews, like they can only have a specific group of people in one room at a time speaking. So
I feel like I heard that too. I do not remember where or who it was. I get it from like a production standpoint.
Yeah.
Because like you kind of want everybody to have their time, but also too, you as a production, like your job is to produce. And so like if you have certain groups, you can instigate certain conversations. So I get it, but also too, it can be suspicious.
Right. Because like we'll see it later. Well, I'll bring it up later too, or I'll just say right now. But there was a moment when they had to do the short list, right? They're all trying to find each other, but you could see that they would go into the room with the pool table, and they were like all counting, like, oh, how many people are there? And I was like, maybe there's like a max amount of people that could be in one conversation because of production, so that they could follow on to the conversation.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was somebody has said it, but like I'll find it. So yeah, I did think that it was a little weird that Carolyn waited until that moment, but I'm glad she said something. And then the Bambis formed their official alliance. You know, they named themselves, and I said, okay, this is good. Now we know where they stand because now they have an alliance name as well. And then they all think Tony is sus, especially with how he was so upset about not being able to go later in the Funhouse game. And then Dylan tells Jeremy and Wes he thinks Bob the drag queen is a traitor. Jeremy then tells Bob, and then Bob goes to Brittany and Nikki, and they tell him it's literally only Dylan saying his name. So everybody's riding for Bob at this point. So I'm like, okay, Bob is doing a good job, even though Bob is loud as hell. And I love Bob, but he's loud as shit.
Do you think when I don't know, because I can't work with someone who, if I tell them something that's to help their game and you immediately go running to go and like fix it, like that then makes it so obvious that I told you this shit because I was just with them, number one. So now you're risking my game. And then number two, you're not even approaching it in a strategic way. You know what I mean? In a way where it's like, okay, it's not necessarily blowing up other people's game and your own game as well, because to me, if you're coming at me like, who you saying my name, blah, 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 I'll be like, calm the hell down, first of all. And why are you so fucking defensive? You know what I mean? Like, are you a fucking traitor? Like,
I get you
being a traitor or whatever? But I just felt like it was, maybe it's the way production did it. I'm just like, damn, can you wait like 10 minutes before let me leave? Then you go run to fucking ask the questions and shit like that.
Yeah,
but I be making shit too hot.
No, and I get you, but I also feel like Bob didn't say. Jeremy told me, he's like, oh, I'm hearing like, like what's going on. Dylan saying my name, kind of thing. So I felt like that was good because I was like, if he would have said like Jeremy said this, like it would have been a shit show. Anything you want to say about that, Oliver, before we move on?
I agree. It's a delicate situation because like I also don't know how much time they have from like a challenge to back to the castle to the round table. It depends because like if it's like a survivor where it's like back to back to back to back, like you do have to work really fast. But if it's more of like a big brother situation, you have a longer term to like kind of chew through things and work it out. So it really depends. It also too, it could be editing, but I also agree with you, G, though. Don't be running out mid-sentence with my information.
He didn't even finish. And music Neuron said, what should Bob have done? I just felt like he should have waited a second. Like, you didn't need to run right away. Like Oliver was just saying, I didn't even finish telling you what the hell happened. You just took off. Like, how can I trust you? Like, you didn't even get all the information you need to prepare yourself in a way where you would be, like, if somebody's coming at you, asking you questions, you can respond and, like, not get caught up in your shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. But then again, I just remind myself, and granted, like, he knew what he was signing himself up for. Like, he was on fight or flight mode. I think, like, Bob went in there really trying to redeem Peppermint's situation from last season and really just like play his hard to like play really hard. And Bob is like this, like he is like 1,000%. Like I'm telling y'all, when Bob sits there still, like Oliver said, I'd be shocked because Bob does not shut the fuck up.
Well, maybe that's the thing. Like, I don't know Bob the way y'all do, so it's just like I need you to calm down just a little bit. Everybody,
I got you.
Not just Bob. Like, if y'all are traitors, y'all have to play like fucking Carolyn. Even though I could care less about her, play it like I don't hear nothing about her. No, I don't even see her like doing too much. Nothing. She's just there. Like, you know what I mean? Why can't you just be there? Why can't you be like Brittany, where nobody even fucking sees you until you're in your confessionals or something? Like, just like be there. You're, as a traitor, you're not supposed to be obvious. And for me, who's very detail orientated, bro, you're on my radar. You're on my radar. I don't give a fuck if it's the littlest thing. You're on my radar. You're on my radar. You're like, people would have been caught for real if it was me.
Yes.
Because every week I'm like, you're a traitor. You're a traitor. I don't care. Like, you're a traitor. And if I was wrong, fuck it. But like, nah, we're not about to be sitting here letting weeks go by and people are just playing, oh, I don't have the votes. I didn't this. Hell no. If I'm throwing your name out there, I'm sticking to your motherfucking name. You're a traitor.
Yeah, I got you. All right, so let's carry on because we getting a little close to the top. So, all right, so we're going into the round table. Dylan immediately goes for Bob for going for Wells. Bob goes off on Dylan, and we get the wonderful quote is, "You are misguided. Your drag name should be Misguided."
I'll be so honest. This is why I was excited for Bob. From this,
Me too.
Because like the thing with Bob is witty. Bob gives great one-liners. From a famous quote, Bob gives good mouth. Like that is why we love Bob. It's just it was a cackle. It was a key. It was a good one. It was a walk right into it and you laid him up.
I loved it. And what I loved even more was that Dylan eventually changed his Instagram bio to Misguided. And I live. So that Gabby,
that's good.
It's so good. And the fact that he just thought of that like so quickly, like, I live for that. Gabby defends Bob. Bob H and Tony, they start going back and forth. Dylan is not backing off of Bob, the drag queen, even though other people are defending him. Boston Rob even notices, like, okay, people are throwing Tony's name. I need to capitalize on this moment to save Bob, which I appreciated, obviously. And then he goes, listen, Tony, I gave you a shield and you didn't even try talking game with me. So I feel like I can't trust you at this point. Pretty much sealing Tony's fate. And that's what ends up being the majority vote. Tony is then banished from the game and he's crying while he's getting the votes or whatever. And again, like, I do love the fact that this is not a unanimous vote type of thing. I hate seeing that. We hate seeing it in Big Brother. Thankfully, we had a great season of BB26 where there were no unanimous votes. So I was very happy that it's been like that so far. It has not been unanimous whatsoever. What are you going to say, G?
But I mean, Rob did kind of like sell him out. And I do understand why Rob did it. It just sucks that it had to have been Tony and then in that way. Because I really do feel as if Tony could have been a good faithful in the game to allow or help them get traitors out. You know what I mean? But I understand Rob is trying to protect his fellow traitors. So when he did that, and the way that they kept cutting to him, I was like, yo, I know the moment he speaks, it's a wrap for whoever he speaks on. You know what I mean? And then when it was Tony, and he was just like, I'm going to have to do what I have to do. Do y'all see how this man's brain works? Like, he's so good at what he does and at playing these damn games. And I have to give him nothing but respect for that, because that's that cutthroat energy that I'm talking about. Like, yeah, I gave you a shield. You ain't do shit with it. And I'm going to throw that back in your face. You got to go. Ooh, energy.
And that's one of the things where Survivor, especially like with Boston Rob, who has been through so many, these roundtables are almost very like a tribal council. Like, and if you know how to, and that's another thing, like with Rob, he does so well, is that he can see a social situation and he knows how to get social capital. He knows how to get social capital real quick. He will run it like the streets. And so I will give Rob that credit because he knows how to see and he knows like where I can capitalize and which part can make me come out of this social conversation ahead out of everybody else. And so I do have to give Rob that. He does a great job at visually and seeing where everyone is and able to, which we'll get into to the next roundtable. Because the only thing that I have to say against Rob is a lot of these points I feel like can come back and bite him in the ass, especially the next episode when we talk about the conversation. Yeah, Rob, you may want to cool it down a bit.
Yeah. Jolly, thank you. You three have great energy. I love it. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. Oh yeah, the little hearts or the thank you so much. And while we're at it, make sure to hit that like button, share, comment, and subscribe. Yes, we are going on. We're probably going to hit the 2-hour mark, but we are covering 4 episodes, so that's expected. We are trying, and we're going to try to move fast as yappers, but we love it. Like, we are yappers. Like, this is not a game, okay? So, obviously, again, we see Tony gets voted out. He's banished. He's so upset. He's crying. Everything. He's emotional. And he gets up and he goes, I'm a faithful. And he tells Rob that he's a sellout. And I said, ooh, maybe.
And for Jeremy to speak up for him, I would have definitely been like, okay, so he's not, I don't know, I would have just gave it to them that he's not a fucking traitor. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, that was a little bit too obvious of a choice. And but yeah, but Tony's fucking up the money if I'm a faithful and he wants loyalty.
Game over. Yeah, I get that too. All right, so then we see like obviously Rob gets called a sellout. He's like trying to be unfazed by it, but people noticed it. And then Bob approaches Dylan and they seem to be in good spirits about the whole thing, calling each other out, whatever. And at this point Dylan's like, I'm still convinced Bob is a traitor. However, I know I don't have the numbers to try and get Bob out yet. And I said, good for you, Dylan, for having the self-awareness and realizing, okay, it's not the time to make this move yet. I gotta wait it out a little bit. The sellout comment, though, makes Derek sus of Boston Rob. And I said, okay, good. Because I don't know why y'all are not looking at Boston Rob yet. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. He's a perfect traitor. And then Traitors get a message from Alan at this point that they have to create a short list of 3 players to murder. And instead of doing the plotting in their little turret, they have to deliberate right in plain sight throughout the castle and put their little list in a little coffin in the hidden wine cellar. When we got this, I said, oh, this is about to be a mess. But I was excited for it. So let's get into episode 4. It's called I Will Bury You Under the Sand. And again, we started off with the Traitors getting that little challenge, that little mission that they have to do with getting the scroll into the wine cellar and their 3 choices. And they're talking, they're yapping, they're saying things very loudly. I'm over here like, Bob, if you don't lower your damn voice, why was he talking so loud? And honestly, I was scared that not all of them were going to be able to group up, right? Because as we saw, they kept going through all of the rooms in the freaking castle trying to find each other. Carolyn was the last one to show up to the wine cellar. And I was like, finally. But I was nervous because several people kept going into the bar room and it seemed like they were just going to get caught. But I was happy that they didn't. How did y'all feel about in this moment? I felt like it was a good way to add suspense to the episode for sure.
I honestly hate when they do this type of thing, like where they're like, do it in plain sight. I'm like, they're gonna get caught. There's no way that they're not gonna get caught. And come to find out, they did get caught technically, but you know, they kind of like they played it off very well. Like that's production, you know what I mean? But come on, if I'm Gabby and I'm walking there and y'all are coming out of the damn book thingy, traitor, like hello, like why are people not like going with the obvious? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like why is it that they're waiting for someone else to tell them that no, don't think like that? What do you mean? Your gut instinct is always usually correct. Like how do you walk there and you see 2 people coming out of the damn book thingy there whispering blah blah blah, and she had a good idea to run away so that she doesn't get caught. You know what I mean? Which was smart, but girl, I'd have been like, radar.
But I thought it was really smart of Gabby to not bring it up until the next day.
Until the next day, yes, I agree. Gabby's doing a good job.
Honestly, I wouldn't have minded her being a traitor now that I like know more of her.
I agree. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it. Am I biased? A little bit. But the Bampies? Color me shocked. I don't know, girls. I'm like, okay. I'm here for it. I'm like, I'll be Bambi with you. Like, let me be the co-star. Let me be the little, what was it? The rabbit that's in the movie? Yeah, I'll be that one.
Yes, I'm done.
But yeah, I was like, she's playing it smart. She was like, okay, let me dodge this, but let me keep it in the back pocket. I will give a little, but we can talk about it when we get to the morning conversation. Because I personally wouldn't have brought it up in front of everybody.
No. Because
then they could, as they did, dispel it and prove it that it was wrong. But besides that, everything before that, she played it beautifully.
Yes.
Beautifully.
Yes, agreed. I agree with that. So they leave the door wide open and Dylan finds it open. And you already know Dylan is like, he is snooping, he's sniffing them out. And then he's followed in there by Danielle and Sierra. And Dylan almost finds the scroll or the little coffin where the scroll is because he's looking hard. And I said, yo, Dylan is really onto them. Like, it's type crazy. But I was so happy Danielle was there. Because Danielle could be like, no, what about this? Or what about this? So again, Danielle being in the right rooms when she needs to be. And that's why I think Danielle is a great traitor.
Yes.
And then the whole group is pretty much sus throughout the entire time that something's going on. Like you mentioned, G, if you feel it in your gut, like then typically it is true. Just follow your gut. So then Alan summons the group outside and explains that 3 faithfuls were shortlisted and they're gonna be murdered right there and then in these 3 coffins. And they're like, dang, like that's what the traitors were doing. That's what we missed. So then he pretty much lets us know that the faithfuls chosen are Sierra, Jeremy, and Nikki. And he even lets them say, like, you know, we see a flashback of Boston Rob telling the rest of the traitors, like, this is good because we're getting 3 kills in one almost. Like, no matter who dies, the other 2 are going to have a target on them because they're going to be convinced the rest of the faithfuls are going to think one of them has to be a traitor to throw them off. So I felt like that was a good point for Boston Rob to make. I did find it funny, obviously, when Alan asked them to make like their final comment after entering the coffins. Sierra's like, she's hunting the fucking traitors down, kind of thing. And Alan says, as eloquently as ever. I was like, I love that. Like Alan is so quick-witted too, which I really appreciate.
I love that about him.
Me too. Oh, it's so good. Then you have like Nikki say like no more Miss Nice Nikki. And then Jeremy says like, you know, I'm willing to work with you guys. Like I'm going to hunt you down, but I'm going to work with you. And that obviously turns off the rest of the group. They're over here like, "Huh? Oh. Interesting."
But don't you think that was a good like if I was a traitor, if I was anybody but Danielle, I would be with the shits.
Yeah, I agree.
And that to me was the downfall. If Danielle was not a traitor, then I would have been like, okay, let's go. Because then if I kept Jeremy would have gone gung ho and hunted Danielle down, keeping me off. But because Danielle was a traitor, and not only that, but also I feel like Danielle had the backing of Bob, that too kind of just sealed the deal.
Yup, definitely. Wait, I don't get how having your name in the coffin targets you as a traitor. So, because they even talked about it amongst themselves, like, should one of them be in the coffin to throw people off? So, them having just 3 faithfuls on there, people are going to assume, like, maybe they're going to throw a traitor in there to throw off the rest of the group. That's why. Like, they have to have place.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. They had to have placed a traitor in there to throw them off. What were you gonna say, G?
And Alan made sure to let them know, like, the traitors could have voted themselves in there as well. So, like, for that preface, they definitely already were like, yeah, one of them would try to trick us by putting 1 or 2 traitors in there to throw them off the scent or whatever. So, yeah, technically, if you did end up in those things, you would have been a target regardless, which is why Rob was saying 3 for the price of 1.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, definitely. So then obviously we see Jeremy gets murdered. Bob puts the nail in the coffin. And then we get to breakfast. So Gabby brings up hearing Danielle at breakfast, right, to everybody. Danielle's already in there with Dylan. Dylan's right next to her. And Bob joins after. And Danielle says she went in there with Dylan. And Dylan backs her up like, yeah, we went in there. And Bob chimes in. And at this point, I'm like, Bob, you didn't have to say anything because it was already cleared up. But Bob says, yeah, everyone went in there after they saw that it was open. And then Gabby obviously is like, dang, like my theory was debunked of Danielle being a traitor. But I'm just like, dang, like you guys said, maybe she shouldn't have brought it up in front of everyone because they would have easily just said, nah, that's not what happened. And that's ultimately what happened. And I can't believe that Dylan really like didn't say, you know, I was like, dang, Dylan didn't question that either.
No, he couldn't have because she was there with him. There's no way.
I know.
Looked bad on. She could have flipped that on him. You know,
yeah.
like what do you mean? Like, you were with me, you know? And if you tried to throw it on me, then you're obviously a traitor. Like, you knew where to look. You were over there looking at the car. Like, I'd have threw that shit on his ass so fast. But damn, I just lost my train of thought. But I truly just feel as if, like, yeah, Danielle, she played that very well. She knew exactly, like, that answer, the response came up real quick. Like, I'm glad that she was able to catch that and to throw Dylan in there. Like, to throw Dylan in there as a part of it was perfect. But my thing is, I feel like Gabby heard more than one person in that room. And if that's the case, which is why she, of course, obviously said that she's not letting it go. You know, she still feels as if, you know, Danielle is a possible traitor and things like that, but she's just going to let it go. Like, you know, not bring it up right now because she doesn't have enough, like, you know, proof. But I feel like she heard somebody else's name. And wasn't it Caroline that was with her, that was coming out of the room with Danielle at that time? And then, you know, Gabby ended up running away. And then Nikki was over there at the breakfast table talking about, oh, it was somebody who walks light on their feet. Oh, and Danielle was shook. She was like, so you think it's a woman? Like, girl, like, you don't need to do, like, y'all be doing too.
Yes, at breakfast, and Nikki's like, you barely asked me any questions. Like, now you all of a sudden ask me questions. Like, now I think it is you.
So it's just like, y'all not, she helps herself, but then she doesn't help herself. It's like Danielle's playing a good and a bad game at the same damn time. But she did tell us on Twitter that a lot of her fans are going to be frustrated with her gameplay. Well, thanks for the pre-warning. And girl, I am frustrated. Like, because I feel like you could be eating these people the fuck up. Like, the way Rob is the fucking, you know, like, player, big deal or whatever. That's you. Like, that's who you're supposed to be. And I need you to be thinking like that, playing like that. You know what I mean? Not necessarily so flustered. And then the next moment, I don't feel like you're flustered. I feel like you got the shit under wraps. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's too much back and forth.
I get you on that. Okay, so let's move on to the challenge. So the mission. So we see a gender divide again throughout the cast. Gabby calls this the Stonehenge from hell. The players are required to carry giant statues up a hill, which each completed statue banking them $2,000. And the twist came in when the players realized that each person had a head representing them. And if their head made it to a statue, they win a shield. And then again, we talked about this earlier. They giving away too many damn shields. Like, why is everybody protected at this point? So obviously, the muscle bros, primarily Sandoval, like Tom, he comes out of nowhere, obviously gets his head up to his statue first. And Robin even comments like, yo, you're an asshole. Like, you're so selfish. Because it's true. And we saw Bob obviously trying to help make sure that there was some sort of like agreement as to who should get a shield or not. And they kind of just all ignore him and just start moving stuff up. We see some of the ladies struggling to get their pieces up the hill. And then obviously, rather than discussing on who should get a shield, it turned into a matter of like first come, first serve. And we see Bob H struggling. Obviously, he talks about the fact that like he had a heart attack, right? Previously, a few years ago. So like he can't move as much as he would like, which I felt really bad. But yeah, that's ultimately what happened. They just didn't care to listen to anybody.
Yeah. I must have missed that part because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that, and I'm sorry, but I was laughing my ass off because the fuck makes you think I'm about to be carrying this shit up a hill? I can't even fucking breathe. You want me to carry shit and twice, like carry the body, carry the head, and then help other people? Shit, can I even get up here with just me? You know what I mean? I honestly, and the way that he had described it, I don't know how I missed that though, but I did miss him saying that he had a heart attack. That's not funny. So I do apologize about that. But I was dying because I'm like, what do you mean you want us to be carrying this shit up hills? Like, and they were all like, it's far too. Like, how the heck are we gonna be doing this? And we only have 40 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah.
But the men taking over that shit, unacceptable. Unacceptable. And Bob did try to help, like, hey, let's try to, talk about this, try to help the women and all that stuff. But yeah, y'all need to get these men out of here. I'm sorry. They gotta go. They gotta go.
This was for me where I was like, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
But yeah, that was for me where I was like, all right, we need to too much testosterone. We need to get them out. Because it just was like, it feels so like not only selfish, but it's also, it just gives like bad TV. Because it's just like, what is the reason? Like, okay, cool, you ran up a hill. Next. Like, I don't know. I just am like,
and you did it
feels
fast
so
too.
Yeah, it's like, it just feels so rudimentary. I'm like, it just feels so base level. And I'm like, okay.
And I also didn't like how the men were the ones choosing which women's heads were going up there. Like, first of all, other people, of course, were like, hey, fight for your right. Like, tell them that you want to be saved, blah, 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 blah. Like, the fuck? Why do I have to be telling y'all? You know what I mean? Y'all already made yourself safe. It's the least you could fucking do is carry my damn head up the damn hill and leave a spot for at least half women. If there's 10 freaking statues of safety, 5 women should be safe and 5 men, fine, cool. Y'all should be safe too or whatever. It just didn't seem fair at all. Like, nah. And then y'all got to pick, like, okay, fine. I understand it was between Dolores and Sierra or whatever. Sierra's literally like begging, like, hey, the people, I've heard my name, they're gonna, vote me out. And Wes is like, no, you're not. Like, and I'm just like, but you don't know that. You're the one who's going around saying these women's names. Like, you don't know this. I just didn't appreciate that. I'm like, where's the consideration, honestly? And why y'all have all the fucking say so? You already gave people shields. You know what I mean? You already gave men shields, and now you gave extra men more shields. Like, it was too much. What was it, like only 2-3 women that were fucking saved?
Only 2 women. Yeah, and I agree with that. I totally agree with that. It should have been split. The players that wound up without a shield were Sierra, Carolyn, Nikki, Ivar, Sam, Robin, Gabby, and Derek. Everyone else ended up with the shield. They won the full 20,000, but when Alan asked the players about their strategy, Bob, unfortunately, fucks it up for himself and says, I did think that one of the new guys needs a head up there because we all think one of them might be a traitor. And I was just like, Bob, why would you say that? First of all, even if you weren't intending on getting one of them out, right? Even if that was not your intention, or I don't know exactly what you were thinking in that moment. I also was just like, Bob, like, that is not the moment to say that, because any of those 3 players are strong players and they have connections over you.
What I was confused with is because, like G said, and the other part of the conversation about the men thing is that I have a problem with it because it's becoming a trend, even from all the way back to that damn rowboat to now. It's very men-centered and men's survival. Yes. And that's where I feel like if I was Bob, I would have re-brought that part up. Where I was like, why are we saving all these men and leaving the women out to dry? Like, that's where I would have said, not focus on them 3 bozos. We can move on from that conversation. But that's because, again, if in this situation, you can clearly see how the women feel like they're being targeted, plucked off one by one. Even just as a numbers game, you would want the women on your side. So it's like, I did not understand why that was wrong. I just would have focused on, like, why are we, or the men, being men? Derogatory.
Right. I agree with you on that one for sure. So then, obviously, Boston Rob is over here like, oh, he want to play that type of game. Immediately on their way back to the castle, while they're walking back to the cars or getting to the cars, he tells Wes it's time to go for the head of the dragon. And I said, oh, that's it. It's over for Bob.
How do you know that there's a dragon? And how do you know who's the head, the middle, the tail, sir?
Right. So then, obviously, purely by his frustration with Bob, Rob starts tiptoeing around the castle to stir up support for kicking out Bob. And he said that the faithfuls needed like some blood, so he was ready to give it to them. And that's going to be Bob's blood shed. And I hated that because I was like, no, I need Bob in the game. I need Bob in the game because who's going to stand up for the women like Bob does? Nobody. Oh, I was so annoyed. So then let's get into the round table, right? The moment we've all been waiting for to discuss. So Rob was literally just waiting for it to go down. Wes starts off like with his moment with Nikki. Derek tries taking a shot at Sierra for being too profane or like cursing too much and everything, which I thought was really freaking weird. I was like, so because she curses too much, you think that she's a traitor?
Make that make sense. So I'm a traitor because I like to curse.
Right.
I was like all the damn time. Like,
profanity.
So I'm a traitor. And I like I said, I like how Dylan was like, yeah, no, that's exactly how I met her. Everybody was like, that's how we met her. Like, what kind of fucking Derek? You could have came better, detective. Like,
right.
You could have done, and people already told you who the target is already. So for you to make that comment, to just throw that on to Sierra, now you're just getting women on your ass for no fucking reason. What kind of fucking detective work is that?
That right there, because it was so unnecessary. It was so unnecessary, and not only that, but oh, you want to bring in some interrogation tactics? Like, girl, go somewhere. I just was like, that was so baseless. It was boring. It was just like, come on, is that the route that you're gonna go? It just was like, keep it. You could have kept it.
To listen, like. It was just so ridiculous. So then Boston Rob decides to take control of this banishment, and with complete confidence, he accuses Bob the drag queen of being a traitor. And you could tell Bob is like, oh, this is how you want to do me? Face crack of the century.
That pissed me off. Honestly, it really did piss me off because the whole time prior to that, Rob was like, I'm going to let other people do my dirty work. I'm not going to bring it up. Like, he would have had way more respect for me if he wasn't the one who have said it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if he would have let the other people do his dirty work for him as a fucking traitor, you dickhead, you look way too fucking obvious. Now, exactly, like, which is why your ass is where you at. But I'm just like, sir, you should have let these people do the work for you like you planned, which is why you did all of that scheming and scramming and all of that. You did all of that for someone else to say it. And because you didn't like where other people were going, which Derek fucked up your shit because he brought up Nikki, he brought up Sierra, and fucking Wes didn't even, Wes told you, yeah, it's fucking Nikki. You know what I mean? Like, we're going for her. But no, you want to go for the head of the dragon. What fucking dragon? You know the dragon? You know who's the head?
Wait. But I do want to say that there was a moment where Rob, he says, let's go for the drag queen. And I said, oh, that's a slur. Don't do that.
He said that.
It was the emphasis. The way he said it, he was like, when do you get the drag queen out? I was like, ah.
Yeah, I said, now you saying it like that, Rob. Don't play.
I was like, that tone is pointed, babes. I will say that one of my favorite moments, though, is the camera work. Because why did they do the suspense? And then all you could see is the camera, they kind of did like the shaking filter when Rob did the look. And my favorite part was Alan in the background. You can see him. He was like, oh. It took me out.
Yes, it was so good.
I usually don't notice Alan in the background of the deliberations and stuff like that. But when he said Bob's name, I ain't never seen that white man pop out so fast. He was like, what? Not one of my traitors.
Yeah, and I think Alan honestly wanted to see Bob go further in the game. Like, I just feel like I definitely wanted to see Bob further in the game. I was like, bro, like take somebody else that's not doing anything. Like, I'm tired of these non-motherfucking players. I hate that shit. I really hate when people go on a competition show and they just want to sit on their asses. Or what are they called on BB? Floaters. I hate floaters. I hate that. Couches, you know, I hate a Casey Clark. I don't like a Casey Clark on a freaking show like this. So I hate IKEA furniture on a show. Like, I really do. Like, I only like it in my home, not on a show. So anyway, obviously Bob is trying to defend himself, and then Dylan chimes into the argument, obviously so. And he starts commending Bob's acting skills. And he's like, you know, he's such a great actor. I grew up with an actor, so I know that. And Bob's like, not a good one. And I said, no, what does that do to...
What killed me too was after, and then I forgot her name, but she
Dolores.
was like, "Ooh, that was mean."
Dolores,
like that wasn't nice, and I was like, "Listen, he kind of ate though."
He did. I said, I mean,
but it was harsh, and I'm quoting it because, yeah, of course they're not gonna like that, but to me, that was not harsh. Like,
that was funny as hell.
It was funny as hell. It worked very well, honestly.
He was so quick with it. He said, not a good one. I said, I live for Bob. I really do. Like, this is why I'm so bad that he's gone. Like, So
also, really quick, can I give a shout out to the counting of words from 9 to 2? Yes. That was also another one. I have 9 words to say. And then Rob said, I have 2.
Yes, I live for that. That was so good. That was so good. Oh my God. They were great for that. I said, honestly, they could go bar for bar. I would love to see them. Like, I needed to see more of Bob and Rob going at it. I just felt like it would have been like sibling rivalry, but like for Traitors, because they just give that type of energy. Like,
I also think that Rob had this shit planned from the first maybe the first time he came and, you know, helped them decide like who's gonna be murdered or whatever. I feel like he knew obviously that Carolyn was not feeling unheard, like, and all that stuff, and that she wasn't necessarily happy with the way Bob and Danielle were kind of like taking over things, and he peeped that they were, which is why he was so gung-ho about defending Bob at the last round table where Tony went home. And I feel like he had that in his head, and he was like, the moment I can get this person out, because, you know, he's way too powerful. Like, you know what I mean? The moment I can get Bob out, I'm going to get him out. But I also feel as if it was just way too soon.
Too early.
For him as a major character to lead it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He could have played that and let other people do it. But for you to lead it, it's like, sir, you're next. You're actually next.
And that's, know that. And that's the important part, where if you compare both the last roundtable to this one, and Boston Rob dug his own grave, to be honest, because Boston Rob was like, oh, you're the person who's leading all of these roundtables. You're the person who's doing the most deflecting. Meanwhile, if we go back, you were the one who sold Tony and threw him under the bus. So for everything that he was saying about Bob, it was like, that's just a mirror, baby. It can be reflected right back at you. And if people catch on, your ass is grass.
Right. Yeah. And the 9 words that Bob said was, I swear to God, I am not a traitor. Boston Rob said, I have 2 words for you. You are, right? Or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you are, something like that.
Yeah. I forgot what it was. But I just thought it was so...
Wait. When he was saying, I have 2 words for you, were you trying to like think what the 2 words would be? Because I was like, you're a traitor is 3 words.
Yeah.
I was like, that's 3.
Yeah. I was thinking too. And he was like, when he said you are, I said, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I live for this moment. It was a great reality TV moment, let me tell you. So then
It gave that one game show, I can name the song in 5 notes. Then he was like, Rob was like, I can name the song in 2.
Because I was even thinking about what Bob was gonna say when he said, I got 9 words for you. I said, what the hell he gonna say? He must have been counting that while Rob was talking, honestly. But then we see them go around the table, and pretty much Bob is losing the room, right? Majority of them are starting to say Bob the drag queen's name, with a couple people trickled in there, like a couple Sierras, a couple Nickies, whatever. And then we see the one that hurts him the most is Danielle voting for him, because he's like devastated at this point. Like, you could really see the defeat when he sees Danielle vote for him, and then Carolyn votes for him, and it was just bad. And I was also a little bit upset at like Danielle and Carolyn not trying to defend Bob, because I felt like this would have been the perfect opportunity for them to flip it on Rob. And be like, no, like, what, or one of them, maybe not Danielle, but maybe Carolyn could have said something at that moment, but she wouldn't have. She's not that type of person. But the woman some of them did try, like, but I was so surprised by how so many of them went for him, and they were convinced by Boston Rob, especially someone that joined the castle after. So then, obviously, we see Bob get up and he says, I swore to God I wasn't a traitor, and I swore to God I wasn't lying, but I don't believe in God, and I'm a traitor.
I honestly was devastated. I was actually very sad, because it sucks to say, but I would have definitely loved to see him go further, and I would have been okay losing one of the other 2 traitors. Like, I would have been okay with that. I honestly just wanted them. I felt like the entertainment that he brings is just, it's liveliness, it's realness, it's authentic. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't know anybody, so it was really genuine, the bonds that he was building, and the way that everybody was just like, oh my God, like, no, he's not a traitor. Like, no, he's not. Even Nikki was like, hell no, like, it's not Bob. Like, what do you mean? And I just love that he was able to form those type of bonds and connections, especially after hearing what y'all said about him losing his mother just 2 weeks before. And I was glad that he was able to at least experience that. I just wish that he was able to go further in the game. And I hate Rob for doing that. I wouldn't hate him as much if he, like I said, if he didn't say it and he would let his minions do it, I would have respected it just a little bit more. But for him to do that, I'm like, oh, you really ain't shit. Like, you really came here to play, which I like, but like, you gotta go. You got to go now, because if fucking Bob can't stay, you can go. You can go too.
Also, well, 2 things. First of all, listen, if one thing a drag queen from Drag Race will do, they'll eat up an exit line. I'm so happy, because listen, on Bob's original season, he wasn't able to give an exit line. I'll say that.
He wasn't.
Nope. And so this one ate up for this and last time. And then the second thing is, I agree. I wish it was anybody else, because this boot order is giving a chop. I do not like this boot order. And especially if it's going to become the Boston Rob show, keep it. Listen, great job. You did good. You'll give you your 5s, but I'm going to need other people to get in the limelight, not just you. So somebody needs to kind of step up. Because I don't like how this is going. This is not going the way that I want it. I thought it was. This is not the plate that I asked. So,
respectfully, I need a new dish. Yes, I agree. I definitely feel like I'm gonna be upset if it comes out to be like all the men at the end. Like, no. I'm gonna be pissed off. Like, this is not how I wanted the boot to go. Especially like Bob the drag queen. Like, I just feel like we're missing such a huge entertainment aspect of it with him being gone. And I just feel like people are gonna play it safe. And I don't
Who
know.
else
I'm
is
just
the
annoyed.
entertainment? Honestly, who else is the entertainment? Who else is gonna bring that drama, cutthroatness besides Boston Rob? You know what I mean? But like we just said, we don't want it to be his show. Who
Yeah.
else can do it? Is Caroline gonna step up? Like at any point, like is she gonna fucking take? Oh, I want to see this lady do something. Like
Yeah. I get you with that. We will see. We see Wes is brewing. Wes is brewing, and Wes peaked. He's like, considering how confident Boston Rob was banishing Bob, how do you how are you so sure that you're a traitor, that someone's a traitor, because you're also a traitor?
I thought that moment was so funny because it very much felt like a teacher with the class of kids trying to
Yes.
walk them through. It was so
no,
funny.
and that's exactly what Wes likes to do, though.
Yes.
He likes
Yep.
to just get somebody, which is what I thought that he was gonna do to Robin. Like I was like, oh, Robin's perfect for his little like puppeteer game or whatever that Wes likes to play. And he was just like, Tony, oh, is that his name? Tom. I was like, he was like, oh, Tom, you got it. And I was just like, oh, you giving Tom fucking gold star? Like, what is he gonna fucking do for you in this game with that information?
Yeah.
Literally, as soon as Tom said it, and he said, "You got it," he said, "Here's the class for putting a gold star for you next to your name."
He said it.
Yes. No, yeah. Wes is always really good at like mentoring the newer people, the non-gamers or people that are rookies. Like he's always been that type of player. So once he started pointing that out, and I said Wes is gonna plant the seeds, and I wouldn't be surprised if Wes is the reason Boston Rob gets the hell out, because Wes is gonna catch on to that real quick. He can play it for so long, and he knows how to lay low. He's gotten a lot better at laying low. So I don't know. I feel like Wes is gonna be the one to get him out. Yeah, so I'm excited. But overall, this season has been great. The boot list again, it's a chop for all of us. But I have been entertained. I'm hoping the entertainment value doesn't go down now that Bob is gone. I would like to see Bob be invited back, like Katie was invited back, right, Katie? From the previous season, but I also like the fact that we don't see people again. So I hope it doesn't become something that the challenge does. But yeah, I mean, hopefully the next person, the next drag person, drag race person can be on there and not by themselves, and hopefully they make it far. And I want it to be Monet. I want it to be Monet Exchange. And I think Bob even said it. Monet Exchange should go on and T.S. Madison. That'd be
I would
wonderful.
be
T.S.
seated.
Madison. T.S. Madison.
I'd be seated.
That her alone would give y'all an Emmy for the next 5 seasons. I'm
Yes.
being so serious.
I would be seated.
Oh my God. He's so dumb. He's so dumb.
So like, I'm like, what are you doing? You're there, but you're not there. Like,
He's so dumb. But that's all for tonight. We've been yapping for 2 hours, 2 hours and 13 minutes. So thank y'all so much for hanging in there with us. We hope y'all enjoyed the live. Again, we'll be here next week. Oh, the cute little hearts. We'll be here next week. Before you go, make sure to hit that like button, share, comment, subscribe. Make sure to follow us at Reality Unloaded Podcast on Instagram and Reality Unloaded Pod on TikTok. And again, thank you guys so much. We don't happy MLK Day, whatever else is going on, we don't care.
nope.
MLK Day, that's it. And thank y'all again so much for sticking it out with us. We're so excited to cover the Traitors season. And yeah, catch y'all next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Deuces.